Greetings, this is Chris and welcome back to Stellaris, where we have the Great Birb Commonwealth in all its glory, with a couple of nice colony outposts, and several friends in fact. Almost all of the alien species we've met have been very friendly. Currently we have missions to investigate precursor artifacts, as well as look for certain energy beings, some robot drones, and our president would really like us to build more mining colonies, as usual. And right at this moment, we have a science ship stationed in Fargis. I think it just finished surveying it. Our second science ship is currently on the way back home for a refit, I believe. And our construction ship is, on the way to the new colony to start tapping some of the mining resources available there. So let's kick off and I'll update you when something exciting happens. Okay, we've got something interesting happening on one of our colonies. Several plants native to Eyrie, where we recently established a colony, exude copious amounts of pollen with an astounding chemical complexity. A special research project has been prepared for further study of this flora.
Situation log updated.
It's going to be a society research, but we need a scientist available. So as soon as I have one there, I will look into it. Over in Nestus, our space station finished construction, and I've put a solar panel network in the queue because we are again very short on energy credits, and I think a solar panel network brings in 3, so hopefully that will help improve our energy situation. As for the planet itself, well, it's growing relatively well actually, and I am trying to take advantage of the power available where possible, but I probably ought to even... I mean, there is still plenty there. Oh, on the other hand, science looks nice as well. It's very difficult to know how to build a colony, actually. I have 3 food spare right now, and I don't really want to reduce the amount of food available, necessarily. I actually can clear some of these tiles, which is good. But yeah, if you have 2 resources on the same space, it's a bit of a shame. You kind of have to lose one of the resources in order to build helpfully on the other one. But I think, I think it's probably still... Whoops, no, don't build a mine. I think it's worth building a power plant up there to get that launched. I've entered negotiations with the Mechonas here. They're the guys to the south of me. I really want to get civilian access after hilariously screwing up last time and offering my civilian access to them. But I'm going to have to pay them, and it's going to cost 160 minerals. But honestly, we currently have a very good mineral income, and we have quite a large stockpile, so I am going to give this man some shiny gems, or whatever they are, in order to get through his space. Mostly because this science ship finished its survey, and I'd really like it to get down here to these places. I am researching Warp Drive 2, but that's going to take at least another year, and then I'll have to refit the ship. So I think this is a good plan. I have to wait for him to accept the deal, of course, otherwise I can't move through. But yeah, he's fine with that. Good. I'm glad I have so many friendly neighbours. So actually, why not go straight ahead and survey that system? The one that I have the mission for. Our other science ship I had ordered to go south, thinking that when it arrived, when we finished inventing the secondary warp drive, I would refit it and send it south. But I think since this guy is now able to pass through that space, I'm going to send this ship north, and it's going to go ahead and research the special project on the colony. I'm also interested in colonizing, of course, further. And we have found a colonizable planet in the Enkef system. But within that system there is a primitive species. So we need to get a colony ship there and build our own world before they ascend to the space age. I think they were in quite a late age. So we ought to get that done as soon as possible. And since my main space station is doing nothing, we'll get to work on a colony ship. Meanwhile, President Isaki, who's pretty much been president forever at this point, has once again completed their vital mission of building more and more mining stations.
Construction complete.
Oh, okay, it looks like we finished that special project. Long-term exposure to the pollen naturally occurring in Eyries' atmosphere acts on the colonist's pheromone receptors with a mild aphrodisiac effect. Oh, blimey. Okay, so it makes them horny and happy. So they've decided to call it the Marin Karen. Remarkable. Pheromone first stage modifier added, giving the following effect. So I can have 10% happiness, or... Oh, okay, apparently we would have the option to exterminate the plants, but we actually don't have enough resources. Presumably we needed more money or something. Well, it sounds very remarkable. This will be a lovely place to go and visit. On closer examination, the plants native to Eyrie turn out to be rather dull. Some excrete pollen that have a mildly stimulating effect, and they are likely to have a propensity for rapid genetic change. Hardly impressive enough to warrant adopting as a strategy or luxury resource. Oh, well, that's a bit boring. I was hoping for something a bit more exciting than that, but I guess a bit of free research is always good. And I think for her fourth term, I think it's fifth, Isaki has been elected president, which means she wants more mining stations, of course. But I have a plan there, because I decided that since we had reached a sort of very large influence cap, basically, we would construct a new frontier outpost here to try and deal with my energy situation. It should get 5 from Minarbin, and it may well encompass Semester and Landis as well. Possibly Debux, but it's a good position between the two parts of my empire. Meanwhile, reports from Eyrie indicate that worker productivity has declined recently, becoming stable at levels several percent lower than the Commonwealth average. Oh dear, this may be due to the stimulating effects of the pollen. It probably is. A special project has been prepared should we wish to make our production pipelines more efficient to make up for the loss. Okay, so currently our people are under the effects of these drugs and have reduced mineral output. Okay.
Situation log updated.
That's a little bit annoying. Which means we'll need to send a scientist back, so as soon as these guys have finished, they will travel back. So as soon as our science ship has finished its survey here, we will have it go back to White Orb and deal with the project. In fact, let's queue up that. Meanwhile, we finished surveying another system over here, which, very excitingly, contains a Gaia world. And a Gaia world basically is perfect. It has 100% habitability for any species that goes there. I don't really know how that makes sense in context, but it turns out that, I don't know, every single possible terrain exists on its surface or something. It does still have some tile blockers, but basically people will be very, very happy living there. And just so happened, I had a colony ship that was free and available and is on its way to the planet. So, it's just a question now of where the best place to put the initial landing is. This one looks potentially pretty good. It would cover those 3 quite nicely. I'd like to get the energy if possible, but I don't really want to put it on the physics. So I think we'll put it in this empty space here. Good. Notably, one of our other colonies has reached a bit of a problem, which is that because there isn't that much food on the planet, well, there's some here.
Special project complete.
We actually aren't getting any growth. We were actually starving for a while until I built this farm. And this is... I don't know really what to do about it. I can't improve the farm despite having the technology because that requires a planetary administration. And I can't build a planetary administration because that requires 5 pop. So unless someone migrates here, I have a problem. So what I might do, in fact, is if I were to build a basic farm here, I'd be getting rid of 1 mineral, but frankly I've got 50. And then I can take a bit of food instead. So I think in order to get this colony growing again, I'm going to have to do that. And then hopefully at some point we can research whatever it is that's required to get rid of toxic kelp, because that's kind of in the way. Meanwhile, it's time for this event chain to continue. Far-reaching changes to time management paradigms and the way responsibility is delegated within all fields of production and other duties on Eyrie have produced good results. Thank you, dramatic music. The populace has an evident desire, outside observers would call it an outright need, to be in close proximity to the native flora. Oh god, they're addicted to drugs, aren't they? With clever scheduling and additional checks in place, productivity remains low, but has risen above the lower limit of what can be deemed acceptable. So that means there'll be a minus 15 and plus 10, so minus 5% overall. But they have plus 10 happiness. Blimey. Okay, I think that event chain is inspired by that episode of Star Trek where they go... Oh god, it's happening again. Anyway, that episode of Star Trek where they go to the planet with the, like, flowers that Spock breathes in and then he becomes all romantic and... Yeah, and all of that's based on... God, I can't remember the name of the flower, but it's a Greek myth about a flower that makes everyone all happy and, you know, too happy to work or do anything. Maybe I'll look that up and let you know, but I honestly can't remember right now. The lotus, of course, there we go, it came to me. The lotus flower supposedly made everybody so deliriously happy that they couldn't do anything. They wouldn't even defend themselves if someone attacked them. Anyway, a recent survey indicates that the residents of Eyrie are much less likely to migrate to other planets. Oh no! That's strange. Okay, so they're not going to migrate, but that's not really a big deal. I mean, I have actually got improved migration, so frankly the colony's so small right now that I don't really care if no one's leaving it. What I'd like is for people to leave our home planet, but honestly they just don't seem to care. I don't know why, but no one's migrating at all. Oh well. Oh, and our frontier outpost finished whilst I wasn't paying attention, which means that now we can start tapping the resources available in the local area. Looks like we managed to enclose Chemesta as well, but it has crystalline entities. And we got Debux, and we got Yobhanir, so that's good. We'll send you off to build stations there as well. And of course over there. And at some point I'm going to have to deal with the crystalline entities. How is the state of the project on those guys? Not that one. This one. We visited 3 out of the 5 to do with void clouds. So what do I know about crystalline entities? Not a lot. Okay. Well, okay, I guess we should probably just eliminate them. What are you doing right now? You finished your project? Yes, so you can go off and survey Capella. No, you're going to complain about that, aren't you? Maybe Beta Aquili instead. Yeah, there we go. And then we'll get our main fleet here. Where are those guys stationed? Crimdor. Oh, they're keeping an eye on that. Right. Yeah, well what we'll do is we'll get our main fleet here and we will dispatch them to Semester to engage those crystalline entities. And I've not really been in a fight for a very long time, so it might be a little bit exciting. They just arrived. No, that's the wrong system. Take me to Semester, please. There we go. Engage. Once your warp's cooled down, engage them and attack. And we have a colony on the Gaia world. Excellent. So, we're going to have a little bit of an outpost down here. I hope this doesn't annoy these guys. Do they still like us quite a lot? Mekonos. Yeah, they have no complaints about it actually. That's good. Of course, anytime we start a new colony, there's one important thing we need to do, and that is to rename things. This star is a yellow-white dwarf. Lots of UV radiation. Didn't we have a yellow-white dwarf already somewhere? Ah, yes, white orb. So it can't be called white orb. It is in this Erium Nebula. Maybe we can do something with that. And so we've renamed this particular star the Pale Orb to go with yellow, shiny, near, and white. And the colony itself is Scrape, which I am told by Wikipedia is a shallow impression on the Earth in which birds sometimes lay eggs. So I'm learning new synonyms for nest every day, just for this game. And yeah, it's going to be a while before it's actually a useful colony, but still, we've got a nice little space here, and we're surveying more systems. Now, back to the space fight. Our fleet here, it's not the strongest, but it should have no problems against this crystalline entity. And I need to clear the system out now it's in my territory, I'm afraid. So, whether or not I want to leave you peacefully, you're making it very difficult for me, crystalline entity.
Fleet engaged.
Oof, he's got missiles. Oh, and in the middle of the fight, an event happens. Typical. Okay, so let's see what's happening with the awful pollen. Productivity is no longer declining. Communications are breaking down. Senior officials are growing increasingly distant. And our clerks are complaining that even relaying simple directives is becoming an exercise in frustration. Sigh. Or deploy an administrative task force. So do we leave them to it? Or go to the fourth stage of being pheromoned, which basically looks like it will restore the setup originally. So, because I think originally they had plus 10% happiness, and they have 5% less minerals. I think birds are happy to let other birds be birds, so we'll just sigh and let them get on with it and hope nothing horrible happens as a result. It's always nice to see new events, you've got no idea what they do. And here we are in the fight. This thing looks fairly resistant to our lasers, but we've got quite a few ships. And there we go. We finished it off. So now your next task is to take out this one.
Situation log updated.
Oh, and we found some new aliens in Beta Aquili. Ooh, it's another species we've not met, and they appear to be surveying the system, same as us. Interesting. This seems like a good idea to... it's 180 days though. What the heck, let's research them, find out who they are. Where are we in the world? Okay, we're out on the rim here, so it's a good chance it's an empire we've not met before. Meanwhile, all our research finished. Good. This is important because although it won't actually improve my energy deficit, it will allow me to put better power systems on my ships. And one of the reasons I haven't upgraded my ships is because there isn't enough power to go around. And yes, thank God I can get a power plant to go field modulation. Meanwhile in society... Ooh, that's very nice. I would like more leaders. Oh, that also lets you form a federation though. No, I think leaders are important. It means I can actually put people on all of my colonies, which I've been hesitant to do so far. Yes, and that anomaly is already being investigated. Meanwhile, let's take a look at the second fight of this little crystalline entity removal. They hit relatively hard. I mean, it looks like it took out our shields in both of those hits, but the actual damage on the hull is not too strong, so whatever they're using is just very strong against shields, basically.
Situation log updated.
Okay, and then you finished, which means you can now engage with this one. Shields regenerate relatively quickly by the looks of things, which is good. Oh, and the strange life form beneath the surface of that particular planet is some sort of silicon-based life, living in tunnels. They feed off of rocks, and they possess a rudimentary form of intelligence. Okay, and that gives us something to research. Cool.
Hostile fleet engaged.
And here we go with combat number 3. That's one shield down. I kind of wish that they would reform their formation so that the guy who'd already been hit wasn't at the front. It would just make sense to put him at the back, right? Still, I think everyone's going to survive this without much difficulty, and there's only one fight left after this. And then we can send in a ship to do lots and lots of surveying.
Log updated.
So, that leaves one crystal entity for us to deal with. And then we'll be free in this system to construct resource tapping. Although, that's a colony, isn't it? A small one, but nonetheless a colony. we may want to
Fleet
finish
engaged.
colonising it. Okay, let's keep an eye on the fleet. Nothing so far. Missiles are not very effective against perhaps our evasion skill, is my guess.
Situation log updated.
And
System
that's
survey
all of the crystal entities defeated. Which means, with that, we can send them back to guard White Orb. Oh god, it's happening. So, next changes the event. I was just looking at what had already happened on them. We have plus 10% happiness, minus 50% minerals, plus 10% minerals, and plus 70% migration stage. And now, fringe elements have banded together to form a quasi-religious organisation, seeking to control all aspects of the Marin Carrion flower and its cultivation. A self-styled green hierophant of a flower temple claims to speak for all flora and fauna of Eyrie and demands exclusive trading rights for the plant. Oh dear. Yeah, if they start exporting this to my culture, this could really be the end of our sort of belief in materialistic things. We'll become suddenly spiritual. What does that actually mean? Does that mean we have a faction to deal with? Empire. No, that's not forming a faction or anything. What I think I might do on the planet here is get another governor. Blockers, slaves. Oh, great. We'll get the young one. And we'll assign him. I don't know whether it'll make a big difference, but I think having a governor on a planet that's causing problems could be useful. And those new aliens we encountered appear to be the United Aramathi Technocracy. We translated their language. Let's go and talk to them. Oh, look at them. They're like funny little, I don't know, monkey guys or something. Very cute. Greetings, I have been chosen by Director Limathar to represent the United Aramathi Technocracy in all diplomatic dealings with your people. We strive to unlock the full potential of technology and would do well not to interfere with our pursuit of knowledge. Okay, that's interesting. We'll say our usual response that we can work together. And then we'll have a quick look at them. Where are they? The Technocracy. They are collectivist. Oh, that's not good for us. Militarist. At least we share the same belief on materialism, though. That's interesting. So they don't like us mostly because we're individualist, but hey. They are talking to the Thek-Klek Mandate, who are those guys all the way up north. And where are our embassies currently? Allied. I think it might be time for us to step up our diplomacy game, actually, at this point. These guys here, who we are rivals with, recently decided to rival our friends here. So it may well be worth us talking to each other about forming some sort of alliance. But he's not interested because of our differing war philosophy. Okay. I guess he doesn't like war? I don't know. Okay, can we make a deal? What do we have? I mean, apparently we don't have a non-aggression pledge, so we'll do that for sure. How about these guys down here? Can we chat to them? They are already in an alliance, and they're not terribly keen on us joining either. Okay. How about... Did we try a non-aggression pledge? Ah, they don't border us. Yes, I think I tried this already. Well, we'll definitely make one with those guys then, because they're our friends. Where exactly are our embassies? This is part of the interface that I'm not sure I've quite grasped still. Okay, let's have a look. On the status column here, we have a list of who people are rivals with. Okay. Does this list include us? Yes. Aha! So we just have to go to us, and then we can see that we have trade deals with Narilga and Mekonas. We're rivals with Einak, and we have embassies with Mekonas, Narilga, and Thek-Klek. Ah, were those guys in the north then or not? Yes, they were. Actually, what I want to do is send one of my embassies to the Mech NASA here. Which means I'm going to have to recall one from somewhere. So, I'm sorry, Thek-Klek, you're just really, really far away. So, I'm afraid I'm going to recall my embassy. Although I do like you, because we have exactly the same ethics, if I remember correctly. And we're going to talk to the Gagassis here. And, okay, when's it going to refresh? Might have to wait to the end of the month for it to refresh what's going on. Still, we've accepted our non-aggression pledge, that's good. And now,
System survey complete.
Why can't I make an embassy? Okay, wait till the end of the month, and we'll see. And there we go, it's now February. We still can't establish an embassy. Okay, what am I doing wrong? I only have 2 embassies, right? No, apparently I didn't... Okay, I clearly didn't do something right. So, let's try that again. We are going to talk to the Thek-Klek mandate and recall our embassy. Yes, we'll be very nice to you. And then we're going to go and talk to the Gagassi Commonwealth here and establish an embassy with them. Because I think we ought to be friends. Could we maybe offer you a non-aggression pledge? No, because we don't border each other again. No, never mind. That's cool. Just, you know, keep my close neighbours, these guys and these guys down here, to be friends. That's a good idea. Unfortunately, we can't get any alliances yet because everyone thinks we have a differing war philosophy. And given that, I mean, my government is materialist and individualist, I don't really know what that means for war philosophy, but maybe they think I'm a bit warlike. That's an option. These guys seem fairly peaceful. We're not explicitly peaceful or militarist, so... Actually, that's a good test. Let's talk to these guys. Sorry, let's find one of your planets. If we were to try and ally with them... Aha, they don't think that we have different war philosophies, which means that presumably, therefore, people see us neutral, non-peaceful types. For whatever reason, our ethics say we're quite prone to war. Which I'm not, but whatever you think, I have to accept it. And here we go again with Marin Karen. The Flower Temple and its followers now make up a sizable minority population on Eyrie, and reports indicate a disturbing change in their movement. Their futile attempts to smuggle the specimen off-world have been growing less enthusiastic. Oh god, they're transitioning into a doomsday cult? And the pollen has changed chemical makeup? Oh dear. Yes, I think we probably ought to try and fix this pollen
Situation
problem.
log updated.
Do we need a scientist in orbit? Yes, we do. Okay, well let's... Who's nearby? We have a fleet that is currently on the way to Semester. Well, let's just redirect you and go to research that project, because I think the poor colony in Eyrie is in a lot more trouble than I thought it would be. Let's take a look at it. Well, we can clear up some of the... which is my home base? This one. So we can start clearing some of the dangerous wildlife. That's a good idea. Oh my god, we're really almost out of money. I'm worried. Have we tapped all the sources of wealth we can do? Yes. Yes. That is now within our sphere, but it's not worth any money. That's also, but only worth science. Any colonies that can build... Okay, let's systematically look through and see if we can improve our energy situation. We still haven't quite got the technology to build better power plants. That will take, oh god, another year. Okay, fine. Home planet. Well, I could build a power plant on a food space if I wanted to. Might do that. Probably not worth a lot, though. Over on Nestus, we've cleared this space. That could be used for power. We've got a power plant. Okay, actually, why not just have you go ahead and make that power? As long as the planet's still getting enough food, yes it is, then that's good. And... yeah, there's not a lot more we can do right now with that. Over on Perch, we have a power plant. Ah yes, this is the planet that's stagnant right now, so that's pretty much not going to change until until I upgrade the farm or somebody migrates there. Yes, that was the problem. There is one food being made. As soon as we get that 5th population, we can upgrade the administration. And with an upgraded administration, we can build better farms. And then it will have enough food. Eyrie is clearing that, but I think it's a good idea to build another power plant on an available space. Good. So we've reduced our deficit to 1. Looks like someone's gone and colonized Beta Aquili. Fair enough. I don't remember what sort of planet was there. But good for you. We ought to send the ship up to Monarchidia at some point, because it's one of the 2 remaining space energy being cloud planets or systems we need to investigate. But yes, we'll get around to that at some point. Okay, and finally we reach the end of the mysterious Pollen Marin Karen event chain. Quick and decisive action allowed us to identify the risks associated with the rapid changes in the pollen native to Eyrie and take the necessary steps. Oh god, which includes a planetary evacuation and a planet-wide tactical pesticide bombing run? Bloody hell. The plants were rapidly mutating and their unique pollen would have soon begun delivering a potent neurotoxin to all of the organs of sentient life on Eyrie. Good god. I see. So basically, this was some wacky self-defense mechanism on the part of the plants designed to stop people from harvesting them. Okay, we have completely destroyed it. It's gone. The flowers have been destroyed. We're safe. I presume then that means the planet has been... Yes, it's been freed of all modifiers. It's back to normal. It's not happy. It's not less efficient. It's pretty much just normal. Well, you can hope for better, but I've seen worse. So, good job, science ship. Okay, and something very important has happened. The Norilga have now declared Inac as their rival, because they got rivaled by them. And since we now share a rival, we now have got an additional 15 opinion, which means they would now accept an alliance with us, despite our supposedly differing war philosophy. I think that's very, very tempting. I would quite like to be allies with people. They're a federation builder and they're xenophilic, so that kind of bodes well, I think. Everything's roughly equivalent, but we're very good, very, very friendly. So, you know what? I suggest, in the interest of diplomacy, we should ally with our friends the Norilga. Let's see if they're willing to agree. And they are willing to agree with us. They have decided to join our pact, and it is called the Favourable Pact. Well, that's lovely. Can I change that? The Favourable Pact. There's got to be a way to change it, hasn't there? Under the Empire listing? Favourable Pact. Yeah, can I change the name? No? Oh no. I think it's... I thought there was a way of doing it, I just don't remember how to do it. Leave alliance, of trade deal, recall embassy, insult, no, none of those things. Where does it list? Aha. Aha, so the Favourable Pact actually has a little icon down in this corner, and where it tells you the information about it, so who's in it, how many ships they have. For some reason it's got a lot of armies, blimey. Not very many planets either. We can now rename the alliance. And of course, I also have to make terrible bird puns. So, the best possible name for an alliance featuring the Birb Empire is, of course, Burbs of a Feather. Flock together. Brilliant. So our alliance is called the Burbs of... our alliance is called the Burbs of a Feather? Does that appear on the map? No, only when it becomes a federation. But in the long run, this guy wants to build a federation, so we may end up seeing Burbs of a Feather as a major power in this galactic sector. So our construction ship finished completion, the second one we've built, and I realised that it has to go all the way through a lot of territory because I haven't actually upgraded the design at any point to incorporate the new warp drive. So I decided to redesign the ship. It's pretty straightforward. It's got a better warp drive and better thrusters, so it moves faster and can travel farther by warp. I didn't bother upgrading the radar, and I haven't bothered giving it any armor or anything. It just doesn't need any of those things, and technically we can give it weapons? No, we can't. We can't give it any weapons. It just needs 20 power, and a fusion reactor is 15. So frankly, we're better off building 2 fission reactors because it turns out cheaper that way. And perfectly powers itself. So this is our new construction ship. We will save the design. Randomly generated name is fine with me. And that means that the construction ship we just built can now be upgraded. Like so. And the second construction ship, I think, is still busy, but once it's finished, I'll possibly send it somewhere to go and get refitted. Incidentally, I think it's a good time to revisit some of our ship designs, because it would be very useful as well if our science ships could travel further. So we're going to want to upgrade their warp drive, and they already have upgraded thrusters and radar, but now we can probably power everything with... in fact, no, it doesn't need fusion reactors either. We will stick with fission reactors, we just need a second one. And it's basically about the same cost, so we'll save that design just in case. Next time we have a science ship near a space station, we'll get it upgraded. And finally, our corvettes. We have the access to the destroyer, incidentally, which is pretty cool, but right now I haven't built any because we're not really in a position to need any large ships. There's no wars, we have an ally, we're still expanding. There are more important things than building up a navy of large ships. But I have been meaning to do the corvette for quite a while now, so we're going to clear the design, we're going to give it better everything, even radar, because I think it's very important, because it allows it to see further in space. And then we're going to upgrade its weapons to blue lasers on all 3 slots, I think, because these are only level 1 and I don't particularly care to mix weapon types. I can't be bothered. And this costs 35 power, but we're going to want a bit of armor, so let's see how much we can get. We can get 2 deflectors if we pay with 3 fusion reactors. So unless we wanted armor, I think I'm happy with the deflectors, to be honest. They've been proving pretty good on the battlefield. So this will be our new standard corvette. It's relatively cheap, considering. And in fact, we have a large fleet. Yes, the second Starflock is sitting in Shiny Orb, so I will also authorize them to be upgraded. And the first flock has just been sitting here looking at these robot mining drones for a while. So let's send them to the nearest starport in Yellow Orb to get upgraded. Speaking of starports, if we have the minerals,
Ships upgraded.
I think it would be quite good to start building one here outside Eyrie now that we've solved the horrible plant crisis. Because we need spaceports to refit ships and repair ships, and basically you want them well spaced around your empire as far as I can tell. So we will build a laser defense module and start work on a spaceport. Meanwhile, the construction ship that just finished upgrading, construction ship 2 here, it will... what's that symbol mean? It's just in orbit. It will head down to Bapagia here and start building stations for the energy available. We are a bit low on resources suddenly, so we'll have to wait though. Oh, and also we're sharing space. That's cool. Do we also get all their sort of... yes, we get all of their space information, so we can look at all their planets.
Construction complete.
These guys love deserts, it would seem. It does mean they can go through our space and colonize, but I think they're going to be friendly and not necessarily... I don't know, maybe they will colonize on the other side of us, but if we're allies, it's not really a big deal. And once again, President Isaki has completed her mining mandate, because that's what she does. When you need mines, President Isaki gets the job done. And we have tons of wealth influence again I have nothing to do with. Our colony ship has arrived here on Enkef, and we've now started to colonize. Our friends here, the... what are they called? The Wesari, have built a space station. I don't know if that means they're aware of us, but they have yet to discover warp drive. So actually, this is going to be a really interesting interaction. Because we can't communicate with them. We're not allowed to.
Upgraded. Construction complete.
Oh no, apparently we are able to communicate with them because they're in the early space age. But it's not letting me. I'm not entirely sure what we can do with them. Part of the reason I built this was to find out. But, importantly, as ever, we built a colony. It's time to think about what to name things. So I think the star will obviously be called Red Orb, since it's our first red star. Sorry for renaming your sun, Primitives. And the colony itself, well, just give me a second and I'll find another name. And yes, according to the Wikipedia article on birds' nests, we are going to name this colony Mound, which is apparently a form of nest wherein a lot of material is piled up upon the eggs, and as it rots it generates heat, thus incubating the eggs without the bird needing to be there, which is actually very clever. So, following the theme of our planet names, I think Mound is highly suitable. We're back to losing energy again because of the whole, planet, colony, whatnot. But I think we can do something about that now, because that construction ship should now have gone down south. Yes, it's now in Bapagia, which means we can start to tap some energy. We'll get 4 if we... Is it the moon? We'll go ahead and build that. And finally, we've done it! We've researched better power plants. Our energy crisis is over, thank God. I'll find some and rebuild and upgrade them as soon as possible. Ah, dear. What can we research now? Well, strangely enough, because we've been surveying a whole bunch of debris from those crystalline entities I killed in Semester, we can actually put some research into a red shard thrower, which will be some sort of special weapon, which could be interesting. Alternatively, we have better sensors. This is... I think I saw this... I haven't seen this since my very first research pick, because +5 research speed is actually really, really good, but I haven't had it. And I think that's probably the one to go for, especially as it's my scientist speciality. So this will stay here as well, because we already partially researched it, so we're not going to lose out. And I have no idea whether that's useful or not. So AI, get research speed up, because apparently I haven't had that in a very long time. Yeah, so let's start getting some power onto these planets. Something that will happen when the colony of Mound completes is that we will have 6 out of 5 directly controlled planets, which is problematic. What that means is that we either suffer bureaucratic penalties on production, or we have to make a sector. And I think that given our current set of space, it's pretty clear that all of this should remain within my direct control for now. Which means that either I create a sector down here, or there, or there. Now, these two are brand new colonies. I really, really want to have them under my personal control. So that kind of leaves poor yellow orb here to end up being its own sector. But that kind of makes some sense. It was the first place we colonized. It's doing relatively well for itself, so I think it can manage its own affairs. So yeah, as soon as that colony completes, I'm creating a sector, and yellow orb will be its governing planet. I may end up adding this planet later on, of course. Something that also will happen at that point is I'll need governors again. How are we doing on leaders? We've got 9 out of 12 leaders. Well, we're nowhere near a war, so we don't need to recruit any more admirals. I'm pretty happy with the one we have. We may need another scientist if we've got another science ship, which leaves a couple of slots free for governors. Currently, we are governing Eyrie, Roost, and Nestus. That's pretty reasonable. I don't feel like the others need particularly governors, although I may end up putting one in the new colony at some point. And literally just as I was talking about it, it's happened. We have too many planets under our direct control, which means we lose 10% of credits, 10% influence. So, of course, I was talking about creating a sector now at this point, and we can do this from the Planets tab of our Empire screen. We simply create a new sector and add the planets we want to. So I will add Nestus, and why not, we'll add Zia, even though there's absolutely nothing happening there because it makes the colour fill out a bit nicer. So Nestus will now have control of its own construction queue. It's got a spaceport, so I'm pretty happy. You can also still interfere to some extent, I think. And you can send sectors resources. So, first of all, let's finish. This is going to be the Nestus sector. If we now click on the planet, we're allowed to look at it. But what we're not allowed to do, as you can see as I try to do this, is move around populations. And we're not allowed to construct things. To interact with the sector itself, we go back up here. And this is now assigned as the Nestus sector, to which I will assign a leader. And Governor Hartrack, who was previously governing the planet, will now govern the entire sector. So, we're also allowed to set a focus, and we're allowed to send them resources. But actually, they seem to have their own resources under pretty much good control there, which is unfortunate. I was a bit worried there, actually. They'd end up short of one or the other. So, we will tell them to respect tile resources, and I don't know if we should allow redevelopment at this point. It's a new colony, I don't think we need to. So then we can say, set up a military focus, an industrial focus, a research focus, or a financial focus. And I believe the planet was pretty good for kind of anything. There's a lot of mineral squares. There's quite a lot of science available as well. So I think we're fine leaving an industrial focus for now. It will start building up its economy, and yeah. So this is one of the slight problems with obviously expanding too much, because you then have to let the AI control parts of your empire. There are government types that will give you more direct control planets, so it's not completely limiting. But it's an interesting little twist on, say, the EU4 model, where you can have direct control of anything you like, but ultimately sometimes it's better to use vassals, or the various kinds of vassals you can construct to manage your empire. While conducting their survey at Semester 2A, we found this automated shipyard, I think. Yes, I remember it. It's 1,000 years old? Oh, well, it's not that old then. It's been attacked a lot, and we might be able to restore power.
Situation log updated.
Well, that sounds potentially useful. Not quite sure what it will give us, but...
System survey complete.
Planet thing, you're actually going to research that first. Then you can finish surveying the system. Then you can research that debris. And you, other science ship, you finish surveying this rather dull planet. Tagalion. Oh, it's got a tomb world, though. Tomb world. I have no idea. Tomb worlds are special. They're basically horribly toxic, and as you can see here, unless you have atmospheric manipulation, you're not allowed to inhabit them. So that's lovely. Can you tell us anything else about it? Nope, it's just got a nuclear winter. Not even any cockroaches living on it. That's a shame. And finally, we've completed an observation post next to these, outside these, God, I can't talk. And finally, we've completed an observation post next to Ro Esik here, where the monkey guys lived. They have their own cute little space station just here. Isn't that adorable? Pretty much inspired by the one in 2001, I'd say, which rotates. In fact, it's slightly a shame it's not rotating. You think that the ring design would be because the rotation would provide the artificial gravity. But now we have the observation post, what can we do? We can observe passively for science, good. We can observe aggressively for even more science. Or we can attempt to enlighten them. Interesting. Possibly we could infiltrate them, which means we could try to annex them. Interesting. Well, you see, ultimately, I am worried about these guys coming to the galactic scale, because they are collectivists, which obviously I don't like, xenophobe, which is worrying, and they're militarist. So it seems to me like they could turn into quite a dangerous force if I let them be. So, my feeling is that it would be a good idea for us to just quietly infiltrate them and see what we can do. I don't know. I mean, I think if we do this, they end up independent, and if we do this, then we get to take over their system. So, hey, Ro-Asik, I'm wondering if maybe we could infiltrate you. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I'm going to give it a try. And I think that's time to call it a part for today. We've achieved quite a lot. Not only have we managed to colonize some very interesting worlds, including a Gaia world down here, and a world that shares its system with a planet that's inhabited. We've built an observation around that post around that planet, and we're starting to sort of toy with them. I mean, I don't know how bird-like it is to infiltrate a society of monkeys and try to take them over, but you know, lots of birds have these weird symbiotic relationships with like other mammals where they pick insects off their back and the like. So I imagine it's a bit like that. We send some birds down and they make sure to groom the monkeys, even though they're industrial age monkeys, whatever, and in return they'll join our little commonwealth, and hopefully we'll be able to modify their ethics a bit, because otherwise we could have some problems. We've also managed to recover from our energy deficit, thank God, mostly because I think we built that key, discovered that key technology that lets us upgrade power plants, and in fact I still have some more to upgrade when they're available, and our territory's looking quite broad. We've also managed to sign an alliance with Narilga here, which is a first, and very important I think in the long run. We both hate the cooperative of INAC, and even though I'm not very keen on actually invading them or anything, I think the two of us together should put up a force to withstand against any attempts from them to attack us. So that's all for today. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and goodbye.